what I don't want to do ever, and I've said this before, it's not an excuse. I can't say to the public enough. I put it in my tweets all the time. I'm not asking you to trust me. Nothing drives me crazy when people go, they're asking us to trust the plan. I am absolutely not. Read my tweets. I don't want you to trust me. I don't. It'd be nice.
You have evidence.
All I care about is results.
That's Dan Bongino, Deputy Director of the FBI. I don't want you to trust me. I want to be able to trust you. I think it's kind of important to be. And I've got more for you on that, because today Dan Bongino was on the television talking about Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, or did he? Let's go to the videotape. So I've got more for you on that as well. But I did just mention, and I want to, like Jen Psaki, I want to circle back to this because I just mentioned a story out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Democrats, liberals, lefties. The people of Colorado Springs elected a man who they can't stop saying he's the first black mayor of Colorado Springs, Colorado. How many should there have been at this point in Colorado Springs, Colorado? Whose name is Blessing Yemi Mobolade. He goes by Yemi Mobolade. I think we met at the student conference in Cameroon, but his actual first name is Blessing Mobolade, sworn in as the 42nd mayor of Colorado Springs, Colorado in 2023. He is the first black man and the first immigrant to be elected mayor of Colorado Springs, and one of the youngest. That's my favorite part, one of the youngest. He's not the youngest, but you're just checking every box. You got to go through and check every box. Kind of amazing stuff. But there's a lot to say about this, because now he's in some hot water. He's in plenty of hot water. The first black mayor, like 300 years from now, Democrats are still going to be saying, he's the first half-black, half-Asian mayor of Colorado Springs, and he's LGBTQ. He's and they, the identity politics of the left, absolutely ridiculous stuff. But the good people at the Daily Wire have the update on this because it's kind of an amazing story. Colorado Springs' first black mayor implicated in hate crime hoax at federal trial. A black radio talk show host convicted of staging a burning cross to help sway the election testified that the mayor was in on it. Oh, no. It wasn't a real hate crime? God, that must be the first time that ever happened. That or more than half the time, way over half the time. A black media personality was convicted last week in court of faking a hate crime against Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobolade to gin up votes for him. Well, what gins up votes better than a fake hate crime? The Democrats love that. With the ringleader, Derek Bernard, testifying that Mobolade was in on the hoax, and the FBI testifying that the mayor misled agents about his contact with Derek Bernard. Mobolade, who is Nigerian, won the election as a left-leaning independent in the traditionally Republican stronghold in 2023. Listen to this. After the N-word was scrawled on one of his campaign signs and a cross set ablaze in front of it, video of the scene was shot and then sent to the media, resulting in a swell of sympathy. Oh, no, poor Blessing Mobolade. Somebody wrote the N-word on a sign and then lit a cross on fire in front of the sign and then shot video of it and then released it to the media. And this is the Democrat Party scheme, if I've ever heard of one. They're completely insane. So he won the election, left-leaning independent, the N-word, and then the burning cross set on fire. At the 5-day trial in federal court, the black talk show host, Bernard, and his wife, Ashley Blackcloud. I got to tell you, just like elect a guy named Michael Piercy and leave it at that, because this is getting crazy. So after the 5-day trial, Bernard, the talk show host, and his wife, Ashley Blackcloud, got Got to say, Indian names can be pretty cool. Black Cloud's kind of fun. Concluded that on May 23rd, that FBI agent Ethan Doherty testified that the mayor falsely denied contact with Bernard, despite records showing the pair was in contact before the day of the hate crime and afterward. Oh, no, I never met the guy. I never talked to him. Oh, well, here are your contacts before the incident, the day of the incident, and following the incident, and you just testified that you've never met the guy, never been there, don't even know him, all that great. So records show the pair was in contact before, the day of, and after the fake hate crime. Doherty testified that when the FBI interviewed the mayor, Mobolade said he was 120% sure that he didn't have a phone call with Bernard 3 days after the incident, and that Mobolade seemed nervous, according to KOAA. He's 120% sure. You can only be 100% sure. I just want to make that clear. Only 100% is possible. You can't be 120% sure of anything. But he's the mayor. What do I know? And he's the first black, and his name is Blessing Mobolade, and he's from Kenya. So we have that going. Doherty also revealed that Mobolade began using a new cell phone the day after the hoax. That's always a clever move because that'll fool him. The FBI's courtroom testimony corroborated Daily Wire reporting from November of 2024, which Mobolade denied at the time. Mobolade told the local newspaper that politically motivated websites will weigh in with no regard for accuracy or truth. But he's a Democrat who calls himself a left-leaning independent, so he was lying, of course. And his deputy chief of staff told the city council the article was unfounded, but the Daily Wire had it all right. He produced a video in response saying, "I did not lie to the FBI," and claiming that he had paperwork from the Department of Justice showing that he was a victim. See, because there is no status more exalted than that of victim for Democrats, especially racial victimization, because you know how they love that. But a Justice Department document produced at trial showed that Mobolade was at one point under investigation, that the investigation was closed but could be reopened, and that its closure should not be considered an exoneration. Now, this was under the Biden administration that they closed it because the fake hate crime and the fake victimization and the Nigerian African immigrant, and he's the first black mayor of Colorado Springs. So they didn't want to tell the truth because they're pathological liars. They're the FBI. We need to come up with a new decoder ring for what FBI stands for because, and no, not F. Well, we'll still call it federal. But honestly, amazing stuff. Shouldn't be considered exoneration. The hoax began after an April 12, 2023 election in which neither Mobolade or Wayne Williams, a white Republican, received a majority, triggering a runoff. According to court papers the next day, Bernard, the talk show host, who's also black, because you have to say that every time his name comes up, just like in the news reports about it, texted Mobolade, "There's a plot amidst," and he misspelled theirs. "I'm mobilizing my squadron, sure, in defense, and for this final push." He's got a squadron, and he's mobilizing it, and he's a black talk show host. "Black Ops style, big brother. The Klan cannot be allowed to run this city again." As though the Klan ever ran the city of Colorado Springs. They're all mentally ill. Every Democrat is a mental case. On April 23rd, Bernard, Black Cloud, and a third conspirator named Deanna West, who previously pleaded guilty, worked together to scrawl the N-word on a campaign sign at 3 a.m., erect a cross with twine on it, then set fire to the twine. They photographed the display and sent it to the media, and the media weren't suspicious at all, suggesting that white Republican supporters of Williams were to blame. But obviously, once again, it was the Democrats and the mayor and the Democrat media figure who can't spell and doesn't speak English, and he's the American, not the Nigerian. That night, Bernard texted Mobolade, "I guarantee the finish," referring to a request from Mobolade to help him get across the finish line. 3 days later, the pair spoke on the phone for 5 minutes after Mobolade won the May runoff. Bernard texted him, "We got you through it all, brother. Another time through. We'll handle business." Yeah, you should all go to a penitentiary for like 70 years. Bernard is now serving, Bernard, the talk show host, who is now serving life in prison without the possibility of parole for an unrelated killing. For an unrelated killing. Testified that Mobolade, along with State Representative Regina English, I know it's Regina, but I just wanted to pronounce it Regina, Democrat from El Paso, helped plan the hoax, according to KRDO. He said Mobolade was to have steered city money to Bernard's radio station in return. Black Cloud did not testify, but told the Associated Press that the mayor was in on it from the beginning. This is just classic Democrat Party stuff. But the guy, the radio talk show host, is in prison for life without the possibility of parole because of a murder that he's, so forget about the hate crime, folks, hoax. It's, that's no big deal. There was evidence that the mayor did not seem to want a thorough investigation into the incident. No kidding. He waited until the Monday after the news broke to contact the local police chief, whom he told, "I don't want to make a big deal out of this," according to testimony. After the FBI identified Bernard as the suspect, the killer, now in prison for life without parole for a murder, Mobolade did not tell investigators that he had been in contact with him, testifying at trial. He was waiting for the FBI to take the lead by asking questions, according to KRDO. But again, this is Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden's era, and they're filthy, corrupt racists from a third world country called the Democrat Party. Just amazing stuff. So, yeah, he said, "Oh, no, I never talked to him." Seemed to contradict the fact that when the FBI did ask him, he denied the contact at trial. Mobolade said he didn't recall denying his phone call with Bernard to the FBI until he was presented with a transcript of his FBI interview. Sure, this is classic Democrat Party stuff. And I've got to say, the best part, really the best part, is that the co-conspirator is in prison for life without parole for an unrelated murder because the Democrat Party. Colorado Springs isn't what it used to be, I think. Just amazing stuff. These people. Man, oh man. When the Justice Department indicted the trio, it issued a press release that falsely said, this is the Justice Department, their press release falsely said that one of Bernard's incriminating messages, that he was mobilizing my squad for black ops, was sent to his co-defendants when it was actually sent to Mobolade. So the Justice Department was lying in their press release. This is during Joe Biden and, his great attorney general, wonderful, and the FBI under Joe Biden. They're a third world country living among us. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, of course, Merrick Garland's press release was filled with lies. And, oh, no, he wasn't talking to the mayor. No, he was just talking. And the Justice Department is in on the lie. Isn't that amazing? Man, oh, man. He didn't want it investigated. Oh, I don't want to make a big deal out of it. Sure. Yeah, the N-word scrawled across his campaign sign, a fake cross with a fake fire, with a fake video, with a murderer in on the plot, because really it's just the Democrat Party. I don't think they're serving the interests of black voters and black politicians very well. Am I wrong about that? I don't know. Call me old-fashioned. Since the overturn of Roe versus Wade in the Dobbs decision by the Supreme Court, overall abortions in the United States actually increased by about 1% last year. Remember, they said nobody could get an abortion? Actually increasing makes the Democrats very happy. That translates to an estimated 1,038,100 unborn babies being snuffed out. Every one of these lives, very precious, of course, depending on who you ask. through compassionate, loving care and free ultrasounds. Preborn helps women connect with the life growing inside of them. Once the mother hears the heartbeat, sees the heartbeat on the ultrasound, her baby's chance at living a long, happy life actually doubles. Last year alone, Preborn rescued more than 67,000 babies. If you have the means, would you please consider a leadership gift to save unborn babies in a big way? Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor Preborn's entire network and across the entire country for 24 hours, a full day, helping to rescue 200 unborn babies. Preborn has a 100% charity rating, so you can give with confidence. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250 and when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby, or go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. Yes, sir. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, Democrats, they're not everything we had hoped. You know, when the Civil War ended. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. So hard to believe another faked hate crime by the left. I'm loving the status of victim and everything. I love that the hoaxer, who's a radio talk show host, is already in prison for life without parole for murder. Because why not? Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Mark calling from Reston, Virginia. Mark, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Mark.
Chris.
Mark. Everybody?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Hey, how about now? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I got you. I got you loud and clear.
All right. Sorry, headphone problems. Anyways,
Sure.
Hey, per Dan, I care about results as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so the investigation, or reinvigorating the investigations into the pipe bomber and the cocaine in the White House case, the pipe bomber, I'm pretty sure they've destroyed all the evidence that would, realistically be used to effectively prosecute whoever this person was. So I don't really have a whole lot of hope for that. Go ahead, fine. The cocaine in the White House thing, we kind of pretty much know whose it was, don't we? And they're going to reinvigorate that investigation and what? They're going to arrest Hunter? Isn't he pardoned for anything that happened in his life from 1967 to 2024? I'm not holding my breath on that either. Just like I'm not holding my breath waiting for Hillary Clinton to be arrested for, destruction of
classified emails and all that stuff. You sound like you're not trusting our government. Now, James Comey, who, and I've got to say, and Mark, I'm sorry I ran out the clock on you. It was one of those clock things that I usually have no control over, but that one I really had no control over. But Mark, speaking for millions and millions of Americans, saying that, talking about Dan Bongino and reopening very important investigations about the leak from the Supreme Court that led to all kinds of mayhem and near murders of multiple Supreme Court justices, the cocaine in the Biden White House. Gosh, who could that have belonged to? Oh, we don't have any cameras in the White House. How are we supposed to know who put the cocaine there? That's great stuff. The leak from the Supreme Court and the pipe bombs at the DNC and the RNC headquarters where they have the guy on videotape talking on his cell phone. Couldn't possibly find out who's behind that. Gosh, that's quite an FBI we have. How much do we pay for that every year? And what do they do where they just target Republicans and don't solve crimes? Is that the role of the FBI under the likes of James Comey? And James Comey was being fluffed by Wolf Blitzer on CNN yesterday. He was making the rounds. He was on MSDNC. He was on CNN. And that's all he goes on, where he gets a tongue bath from the fake journalists there. And here's James Comey yesterday when he was asked by Wolf Blitzer, the FBI director, Kash Patel, and Deputy Director Dan Bongino saying that they're going to reinvigorate investigations that, you guys and your crooked, filthy FBI that nobody has any faith in anymore because of what you did while you're FBI director. They're going to reopen. They're going to look at. And he already said, it's that pipe bombing. That's been open for 5 years now. It's been open forever and ever. It's how many years does it take for the FBI to get to the bottom of something? Oh, it's still open. Yeah, okay. Well, then you're fired because you're fired, and everybody around you is fired too. But here's James Comey yesterday with Wolf Blitzer, and no follow-up questions, no challenging the BS that's being shoveled. And if you think you're getting your news from CNN, you're not. James Comey with Wolf Blitzer yesterday.
Are you concerned that the FBI will still be able to fulfill all of its important duties with Director Kash Patel leading the Bureau?
What?
I hope so. I actually feel kind of sorry for the guy. It's like showing up for a final exam with no pencils and no paper, and you didn't even know there was a final exam. And so I hope the career people are able to support the director people and the deputy director. There are lots of people in the FBI who know what they're doing. I hope these two guys are letting them guide them.
The permanent bureaucracy is there to guide them. You mean the people that didn't find out who placed the 2 pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC headquarters on January 5th, just before January 6th, and the riot to end all riots where Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed by a racist police officer? Is that what you're talking about? The people that didn't, and what he blamed the Supreme Court for not getting to the bottom of the Supreme Court leak, and he blamed the Secret Service for not getting to the bottom of the cocaine in the White House where Hunter Biden was spending a lot of time and having his friends over. I wonder, oh gosh, we couldn't possibly get to the bottom of that. But maybe the investigation's still open. And in the year 2067, on a Friday afternoon, they'll drop a piece of paper. And then there's the Jeffrey Epstein didn't hang himself thing, too. I got to tell you, and Mark was making himself clear, our last great caller, saying that we have so little faith in our public institutions, our government institutions. Mark is saying, I have no doubt that they've been able to destroy evidence, whatever evidence there was for Kash Patel and Dan Bongino to look at. The Democrats have had a lot of opportunity, the Biden people, a lot of opportunity to destroy evidence in the meantime. Oh, I'm sure. And he's so casual, Comey is, and blithely saying, that investigation of the pipe bombs is probably still open. Oh, okay. Yeah. How about the Gulf of Tonkin? What really happened there? Oh, we're looking into that. Amazing stuff. And I've got to say, Mark speaks for tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people. Destroy the evidence and the pipe bomber. And what about Hillary Clinton being held accountable for destroying, 33,000 emails, which had been subpoenaed. They were under subpoena by the House of Representatives, a congressional investigation. I guess it wasn't the January 6th committee, so the media doesn't care. Amazing stuff. All right. And this guy, Comey, with his walking on the beach, dressed like a lady, just like J. Edgar Hoover. He's a Mary. Uh-oh. Little J. Edgar Hoover dressing like a lady reference there. I'm a Mary, the old J. Edgar Hoover. Supposed to be a cross-dresser, And he is definitely a closeted homosexual. He's buried in the Congressional Cemetery. My best girl and I, we go on tours in Washington. Congressional Cemetery in Southeast D.C. J. Edgar Hoover is buried there with a giant FBI tombstone with the FBI seal on it. And just steps away from his grave is his man friend. What was his name? Clive Tobin. What was his name? I got to look up J. Edgar Hoover's boyfriend's name. But we'll just move on to James Comey, because he might be a cross-dresser too. I don't know that he is. I just suspect that it's possible, like J. Edgar Hoover, carrying on the traditions of the FBI. But let's go to Kash Patel, because Kash Patel was on with Brett Baer last night on the Fox News Channel, did a lengthy interview. at the FBI headquarters and at the FBI Training Academy, part of the story at the FBI Training Academy at Quantico as well in Virginia. But Bret Baier talking to FBI Director Kash Patel, and hey, you're gonna get to the bottom of all these things, the cocaine and the pipe bombs and so many things, honestly. Got the leak from the Supreme Court. Years go by, and we can't attempted assassinations, and we don't get to the bottom of stuff. Kash Patel with Bret Baier last night.
There is a lot of conspiracy theories out there.
There are.
The Epstein thing.
There are, not
you
is.
Dealt with Maria. You said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
I'm telling you, he killed himself.
The other thing on the
Jeffrey
internet is the
Epstein.
Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that, and it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them on everything.
On everything. Now, well, we've been in there for several months now, and I think that after President Trump was elected and before Inauguration Day, maybe the people inside the FBI should have been collecting some of these papers and putting them on that green desk over there and saying, oh, here are the Epstein files with all the names of the creeps with the underage girls and Lolita One, the airplane on the island that so many Democrats and probably some Republicans went to. But, you know, how long can it take? And, look, you know, he's the FBI director. No, I don't want him to get to all this stuff, and I don't want to, give the bum's rush to everything here. But Bret Baier says there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there. And Kash Patel, corrected his grammar, said there are.
There is a lot of conspiracy theories out there.
There are.
I laughed at that moment yesterday at home. Grammar is I enjoy grammar. But that part of it made me laugh. Now, there is conspiracy theories. That's a singular plural disagreement that anchorman Bret Baier just threw out there. Good stuff. Good stuff. He does fine, though. Don't worry about him. He's all right. What his house sold for $24 million? Was it $24 million or $22 million? But never mind that. That's not important. So, but Kash Patel saying, look, this stuff is going to take time. And what it started with was Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, right? And he said, I'm telling you, he did kill himself. And that came up with Dan Bongino this morning, Dan Bongino appeared on the Fox News channel this morning. And one of the questions was about Jeffrey Epstein. We got like Christmas ornaments. This ornament didn't hang itself. And, with Jeffrey Epstein on it and all that stuff. Jeffrey Epstein, who was on suicide watch in a jail cell, and the video cameras, we were told, were not operating at the time that he was left without guards who were supposed to be there because he's on suicide watch, and he wasn't supposed to have bed sheets because you can use them to hang yourself, so you're not supposed to have bed sheets when you're on suicide watch in a jail cell with video cameras and with prison guards watching closely. And the prison guards were gone, and there was never a good explanation for that. And the video, the video cameras weren't working, and the bed sheets, we can't explain that. And there were never any explanations for any of this. And the guy, his testimony would be bad news for a lot of leading Democrats in the Democrat senior political circles. And it was very conspicuous, guy on suicide watch, and nothing was working, and nothing went as planned. And he killed himself, and that was really good news for Bill Clinton and all the Democrats. And never mind that, but Dan Bongino was asked about that this morning on the Fox News channel. And I've got to say, now there's videotape.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video.
What?
That is something the public does not
There's video
know.
of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
There's no one there but him. But we were assured that there was no video. And I got to say, it's Lawrence Jones he's talking to, LJ, and he's great and everything. But the obvious question, well, wait a minute. Weren't we told again and again that there was no video? That there was no video of where the guards were, the hanging or the, screaming and choking, ga, 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 and all this. But now the FBI will soon release video that proves Jeffrey Epstein was not murdered. Quote, clear as day, the headline at the New York Post. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, known to, I'm guessing, everyone listening to this radio program. Dan Bongino, who began his radio career in this building where I sit right now, in this radio station in Washington, D.C., my mothership of WMAL. But FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino promised Thursday to release new video. How do we have new video that finally debunks conspiracy theories that sex predator Jeffrey Epstein could have been murdered, insisting no one was there but him at the time of his jail cell suicide. And that's as clear as day, Bongino told Fox and Friends. Dan Bongino.
If you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
You can see it. Well, the problem is, and part of this goes to what Mark was talking about, our last brilliant caller, the lack of trust, faith, and confidence in our government has reached an all-time high or an all-time low, depending on how you want to measure it. But pretty amazing stuff. He's the only person there. He's the only person coming out. You can see it. Why has this been concealed from us for all this time to the benefit of the Democrat Party and so many leaders in the Democrat Party who are very happy that he allegedly killed himself? And again, for years, everybody's been making everything from mock Christmas ornaments to hang on your tree. This ornament didn't hang itself, the T-shirts, the everything else. And we were assured that there was no video that told us anything. And now, and I believe Dan, and obviously if there's video, there's video. But why did we hear 1,000 times that there was no video, and now we're hearing they're going to release the video? That's good. That's openness. That's transparency. That's what Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Donald Trump are all about. But honestly, now there's video. And again, and I don't want to be in Dan's shoes here and in Kash Patel's shoes because I would give a long explanation. But I'm somewhat loquacious, I'm told. And I would explain what happened with the video or to the video and why we're just seeing it now. And if I were Lawrence Jones, I'd be asking, well, wait a minute. I seem to recall that we were told there was no video. The video cameras weren't working. There was no video. Where were the guards? He was on suicide watch. Why did he have the tools available to hang himself if he was on suicide watch when you're not supposed to have the tools available to hang yourself? And I would be asking all these questions lickety-split. But they're assuring us, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, I'm assuring you he killed himself. And I got to say, our government, aren't they amazing?
Christmas ornaments, drywall, Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves.
What a town this is, Washington, D.C. There is another story breaking. Project Veritas, formerly the James O'Keefe organization, cracking all kinds of mysteries. They've got a story inside the Biden White House. David Hogg, the left-wing child prophet of doom, and what is he, deputy chief of the Democratic National Committee. What David Hogg and former staffers said about Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, not a doctor's inner circle, in secret video Project Veritas's investigation highlights Anthony Bernal. Anthony Bernal's significant influence as Jill Biden's chief of staff. David Hogg and former White House staffer Detarian Jones suggest that it was Anthony Bernal wielding considerable power behind the scenes in the Biden White House. Bernal's strict loyalty enforcement within the White House, shaping staffing decisions and solidifying his role as a key figure in Joe Biden's inner circle. And it turns out this is the guy driving the train, apparently, on making sure nobody said anything about Joe Biden's brain being broke. And he's the enforcer coming out of Jill Biden's office. Isn't that amazing? So a new bad guy on the scene. Now, we've got very little time left, I think, but let's grab a quick call. Let's go to Richard calling from Manassas, Virginia. Richard, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call here at the end of the show. Hey, real quick, I know this is the 1 week after the 2 Israeli embassy employees were gunned down and murdered horribly, and it just occurred to me that what we need to do is if anyone you know is saying free Palestine or from the river to the sea, that is a clear sign of insanity, and that where it's applicable and where the law is on the books, invoke red flag law on that person because clearly they are prone to murder. It is a clear sign that they are unhinged and that their gun should be taken away from them.
Oh, I like it. Red flags for firearms. I think that is very thoughtful, very interesting. And I've got to say, if you're chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. You are supporting what is Al Qaeda today. You're pro Al Qaeda, pro ISIS, pro Hamas. There's no difference whatsoever. And you're 100% right. There ought to be red flag laws if you're championing and dressing up like radical Islamic jihadis, genocidal anti-Semites in this time of global conflict. It's true. You should certainly be red flagged. Shouldn't be allowed. I was talking about it the other day. If you're a registered Democrat, you shouldn't be allowed to fly on airplanes either.